Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going fabulous. Thank you for joining me. Well, today we're going to create 4 projects for Spellbinders, and we're using a brand new collection called Susan Spring Flora. Now Susan creates some beautiful 3D realistic flowers with paper, and I get to share with you a few projects. Now they're not going to be as good as Susan's, but I'm going to attempt to create some real pretty flowers. I have a few sets that we're going to be using, and then I also wanted to share with you this little toolkit that Susan has. Now this is not only great to create those fabulous flowers, but it's great for crafters in general. You get a little blending mat, that's a little leaf mat, and you get your foam mat. In this little toolkit, you also get some scissors and some stylus, some leaf tools, and then also there's one craft pick in there. There's the base of a tool-in-one, and you get some detail scissors that are from Spellbinders. Then you also get 2 tweezers. One is reverse and one is a normal one. So we're going to be using, for the most part, all of these. I'm going to go ahead and take the stylus that are in this little toolkit. There's 3 different sizes of stylus, and we're going to use all 3. I'm going to connect the large and the medium to the top and bottom of my tool-in-one, and then I'll take the smallest and put it on the inside of the barrel, just because we're going to use them and I want them handy. So we'll go ahead and add these. But it's a nice little toolkit, not just for creating with Susan's flowers, but to have in your craft room for travel. Everything's nice and tidy in this little kit, which makes it super nice. I'll link everything that I'm using below if you guys want to check out Susan's Spring Flora collection. There's more flowers than I'm going to show today, but we're going to create some fun projects, and I'm looking forward to it. This is your foam mat. It's very thick. It's about a 1/2 inch thick, and this is your little leaf mat. I'm not going to use it. I'm not sure how to use it, so we're going to set that aside for right now. But if I can find a video where Susan uses that mat, I'll list it below. Susan also has some preferred cardstock. This is called Susan's Garden Specialty Cardstock. This works perfectly for her floral collection because there's a little bit of texture to it, which just adds to the authenticity look of the flowers. I like to quarter my cardstock, and this cardstock is actually great for coloring with inks, alcohol markers, and even pastels. If it's kind of like a universal toothed cardstock, so we're going to use this today as well. There's 10 in a pack, and I'll list the pack below if you guys like creating florals as much as I do. Okay, yep, it's a fine tooth. You know how watercolor cardstock has that waviness to it? This has a very fine texture to it, and the cardstock is smooth, and I would say it's about 80 pounds. But okay, let's take a look at some die sets. This is Susan's double and single peonies, and this set here is called Spirea. It is actually a bridal wreath flower. We're going to use that, and then we're also going to be using, I love Tulip, so I was super excited that she had a Parrot Tulip die set. I want to create a few sentiments with her spring sentiment set here. This is I don't think I'm saying that right, but it'll be listed down below. It's called Spring Quotes, and there's a lot of quotes, even from Audrey Hepburn in there. So we are going to jump in, and for my cards today, you could use colored cardstock if you want. I love the look of distressed flowers, so I'm going to bring in some distressed oxide inks. Now, the first set that we're going to be using is called Double and Single Peonies. Love peonies. On the dies, it's so nice because they're labeled. This is the largest one, and it has it says ×3 on here. Actually, it says ×4. So it tells you how many to die cut out. The second largest says die ×3. So you'll die cut out 3 of those. So it's good to know how many that you need to cut out, and they're numbered on the dies. It just makes it for more playtime and less fussing. Okay, these are the oxide inks that I'm using. I have dried marigold, worn lipstick, and ripe persimmon. I'm going with the orangey family. I'm going to go ahead and use my ink blending tools and my little blending mat This mat is actually great for glues too, because once you add some glue to it, you could dip your flowers in that little mat, and then when you're done, you could just wipe it off with a wet towel, and it comes right up. But the colors that I'm going to be using, I'm going to adhere to, or I'm going to blend on my quartered sheet. I'm going to start off with my Ripe Persimmon, and then we're going to just basically create little pockets of color. I don't want them to be uniform because I wanted different shades on each one of the petals. So I'm just adding a little bit of color. Now I do want to let you guys know, if you do use your oxide inks, blending on this cardstock is not as smooth, definitely not as smooth as if you're blending on Bristol Smooth, because of the texture. I would say Bristol Smooth obviously is a smooth cardstock, but because of the texture, it doesn't blend as easily, which is great for the effect that I want. I don't really want it blended. You can see here all my little polka dots of color. Okay, once I fill in the whole background, all of my cards are going to be created like this today, so I'm going to end up creating quite a few panels like this for the rest of my flowers also. Now for my leaves, I'm going to bring in 2 different greens of oxide ink. I wanted to go with the olive family, so I have Peel Paint, and then I have a little bit of Forest Moss. I'm going to use my blending tool, just one blending tool, to blend in both of these colors. But since I am going to be die cutting out quite a few leaves, not just with this one, I wanted some extra for the other flowers that we're going to create with, but I'm going to do the entire panel. I'm just going to go ahead and ink up with peeled paint, and then add a little Forest Moss in between. And then we have a panel. Now, I do want to let you know too that if you do use your oxide inks versus colored cardstock, you're going to want to color in the reverse side. Because Susan's flowers are 3D, you wouldn't want a white background. You'd want a little bit of color on the background. So for all my flowers today, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and set my oxide inks aside and grab our double and single peonies, and we're going to do some die cutting and creating some flowers. I love doing this. Now I'm going to create a card today, a tag, a little flowered pen that would look really cute on your craft desk, or it would be nice for a little gift. And then I'm also going to create a little gift box. Now we have the leaves, and then we're going to die cut out flowers, but this little piece we're going to bring in some cardstock. This is beeswax. It's part of the Spellbinders new Color Essentials cardstock. I'm going to die cut out my flower centers with that, just to make it easy. Okay, I did do all my die cutting off camera to save a little bit of time, but I did also use I didn't add any extra ink colors, but I did add a little extra ink with my blending tool on the reverse side, again, just so they're not white. Now, to give my flowers a little vintagey look, I went around the edges of my leaves, my flower centers, and all the petals with vintage photo. I love orange and browns together. I love the look, and so this is what it looks like. See, I just did a light shading on the back side. So these are all our pieces. We have 4 of the largest, 3 of the middle, and then there is 1 die set that has 2 flowers in it. We just die cut out 2 of those. Now this is our largest stylus. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit, and then what Susan recommends is just taking the stylus and going around the edge of the petals. Very easy to do. After you go around the edge, you just kind of do circle motions in the center of your petal, and the leaves you would do the same way, and it curls up those petals. It breaks the fiber of the paper, and then it curls up those petals, creating a really realistic look. Now if you add that with the edges of the petals, how they're all different, the flowers are just stunning. Really, truly stunning. So there's 1 petal. I'm going to go ahead. We have lots of petals to continue through. So I'll just grab the next one and go around the edges, and then go around the center, and I'm not going to add any curl to it just yet. If you do that, all you have to do is take the stylus, put it in the center of your flower, and do a circle motion. I'm going to do it to the smaller ones. We want those a little bit more cupped because there's a lot of petals. But we're finishing our last petal, and I am excited to share with you how we're going to assemble. This is where you just do a circle motion in the center of your smallest flower, and it will cup it. Very easy to do, especially on that thick foam mat. Now my flowers here, we are going to do the same with our stylus, going around the edges and then the center. But now, if you want your leaves to be concave, which means it's going to be domed on the outside, do this on the inside of your leaf. If you want it to be reversed, do it on the outside of the leaf. If you do it on the outside of the leaf, your leaves will curl up. And if you do it on the inside, your leaves will be concave and it'll be like dome shape. And I want these leaves for this larger flower to be dome shape. And I'll show you why I want that in just a little bit. So there's our leaves. Love the look of this. Now I know Susan has tools in this kit to create veins on the leaves. I haven't got that far as creating leaves that are realistic, but again, if I find a video that Susan had created doing this effect, I'll link it down below. Now, I did know that Susan does like to cut her little flower petals, not flower petals, flower centers in half on this comb piece, and then also the star pieces. It just creates a fluffier flower center. And so that's what I did. I took my detail scissors and just trimmed those pieces at the star points in half, along with these little, I'm going to call this a comb, along with the comb. Go ahead and add your reverse tweezers to the handle of your comb, and then you just twirl it. Of course, you see me add glue at the very base. You twirl it, and then you can fluff them up, and then you have a really pretty stamen piece for the center of your flowers. Easy peasy, right? I think when you're finished product, you're thinking, wow, I did that. So thank you, Susan, for creating such a beautiful collection. Okay, now for these flower centers, easy. I'm going to take the middle stylus and just do circular motions in the center. It's going to cup these, and then that's all you have to do. They're ready to go. So our flower centers are good. Got our leaves. Now I'm going to bring in some glue. The glue that I'm using is from Fun Stamper's Journey. It's called Journey Glue. I like this glue for assembling flowers because it's super duper duper thick. We're going to go ahead and add dots of glue to the center of each one of my petals. This just makes it super fast to assemble your flower. We're going to even do the smallest cupped ones, adding a dot of glue. Now, once we have all the glues dotted, all we have to do is add our layers. We have 4 of the largest. I'm going to go ahead and layer all 4 together. When you do this, make sure you offset it. They want to go in the same position, so you want to make sure that you turn it a little bit, offsetting it. This way, the cups aren't exactly the same, and your flowers look very organic. I'm going to go ahead and add my next layer. You can see this layer, how it's coming along. Isn't that so pretty? I just love this. Okay, and it's very easy to put together. I'm going to add my 3rd layer here. Whoops, that one popped out. If you wanted to use your smallest end of your stylus to hold that glue in place, just so it adheres, I think you could do that. Now we're going to go with our last layer. I'm going to add that on the top here and add our next, again offsetting it, and that is our beautiful peony. This one is the double peony. And the double peony, you probably don't need to add the flower center. You could just cup those smaller petals, but I'm going to add a flower center. I think they look really pretty with that yellow cardstock. I added both of the ones that we cupped, and then the ones that we used the reverse tweezer and our comb, we're going to add that to the very center. I'm going to grab my regular tweezers and just set this standing up, and it's easy to stand up because you have the base of it. But that is our beautiful peony, our double peony. Now off camera, save a little bit of time, I did create a peony bud, and then I also created a single peony. We're going to create 2 different projects. Here are the single peony and then the bud. I did some more leaves also. Now the leaves here to the left are the concave ones. I'm going to go ahead and use those with the larger flower, and then the leaves to the right here, I created them to where the leaves are or folding up. Now we're going to create our card base. For all my projects today, most all of them, I'm using the decorative, this is the stacked decorative edges die set. I wanted to create some borders for my card. To keep the video short, I kept my cards pretty simple. So I'm going to start off by adhering some of my beautiful new waterfall cardstock to our white border there. And then I'm going to take our teal topaz cardstock, which is, by the way, 2 3/4 inches wide. I adhered that directly to the left of my card base. Now my waterfall cardstock, which is the lighter one, we're going to add some sparkle to it. This is a sparkle tape that's silver, and it has a scalloped edge, but I'm going to cover the scalloped edge with that other decorative strip that we trimmed out with white cardstock. I just wanted some silver behind it. I wanted the whole entire set that we're creating today to be coordinated, so I wanted to bring in a little extra silver, and this is going to look really pretty behind that pattern. I'm just going to use my tape runner and add adhesive, and then we'll tack this right over our scalloped silver sparkle tape there. Okay, any excess overhanging I'm going to trim off with my scissors, and then we're going to tape this down on our card base. Now the waterfall cardstock, I didn't tell you, but it measures 3 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. So we're going to cover our entire card base with the cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and use my tape runner and adhere that. And then for my sentiment, we are going to use our spring quote stamp set. So this is kind of like a universal card. The sentiment that I chose, we're going to stamp with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, but I chose the one that says, "Happiness held is the seed, happiness shared is the flower." It's by John Harrington. That was his quote, and I think it's going to go really pretty with these flowers. Now to secure my flowers, I'm using some journey dots. These are glue dots. I have the small ones, so I have to use quite a few. I use about 3 for the larger flower. I'm going to grab my sentiment, go ahead and stamp that. We're going to stamp it on the waterfall cardstock right on top, making sure it's centered. And then I'm going to go ahead and add our little peony flower bud. And then we're going to add our leaves. And I'm going to use glue dots for all of these. When you use glue dots, you want to be careful because the paper does pull away from the glue dot. So usually if you pick it up with your tool in one, you can add it to your flower and then secure it. Like I'm doing here, I pick it up with my tool in one and then secure it, because the paper I found does tear a bit. But there is my card. Love the way, of course you can't mail it. If you do, it's going to be smushed, but this is such a pretty card to give in a box if you're going to be mailing it. Okay, now I have a pen here. This is a regular cheapy old pen. I covered it with that sparkle tape. So it's a silver pen now, lots of sparkle. This is the kind of pen that you want, the kind that you can just pop off that back side. I don't need the cap anymore, but usually I think the cheaper the pens like this, the better, because I had a little trouble. This is a big pen, and I had a little trouble popping that back off. Usually you could just pull them up. But I added a glue dot, and I went ahead and add my flowers. Remember, these are the ones that go are dome shape. This way, when you add your flower, your leaves are pointing down. And then I added a huge glue dot and added a flower right on top. Now I suggest definitely using a hot glue gun to do this. And if you wanted to create a bouquet, what a nice gift that would be. Putting them in a little vase. I think that would be so nice. I think that would look so pretty on your craft desk. Here's my little vase. You just have a little flower in there. But that's an option to do with Susan's Spring Flora collection also. So those are those two. We have our card, and then we have our little flower pen. I just used that sparkle tape and went around the base of the pen. I do suggest using glue because the sparkle tape wanted to lift. Okay, but we're on to our next project. For this one, I'm excited. We're going to use the Spirea die. This is the Bridal Wreath. Love this. I just die cut out the base with white cardstock and then used my oxide inks to color it. I did use my vintage photo on the stem there. I die cut out 3 of the smaller flowers and then 3 of the extra small flowers, and then quite a few leaves for my project today. I did add vintage photo to the edges of my leaves also. Now what I'm doing is creating, I'm using my stylus and doing a swirly motion in the center of my stem piece. This way, it's a little bit concave. This is going to give my flowers a little bit more dimension when you adhere them. These are the leaves. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the inside of the leaves so that they're all dome shaped for my flower. If you Google your bridal wreath flowers, you'll see that the leaves are a little bit concave. So that's why I did that. Now, at first you're thinking, what are you going to do with all these little flowers? Oh my goodness. But you can see, let me tell you how thick this glue is. This is why it's really good. I suggest a really thick glue for adhering all these little pieces to your flower. Now I'm taking the smallest stylus that we have in our little toolkit. Now, this is the easy part, guys. It's super easy. All you have to do to cup these little flowers, and this is the largest. You have a flower that's slightly smaller that you could layer them both together. You just press it on your foam mat right in the center, and then boom, it automatically cups them. How easy peasy is that? So I'm just going crazy cupping each one of these little bridal wreath flowers, and in no time we have a bunch of itty bitty cut flowers. Pretty neat, huh? That's what the little foam mat does. I'm going to take my tweezers, just the regular tweezers, pick up these little flowers, dip it in the glue, and basically what we're going to do is cover the entire stem here on the upper portion. You just dip and adhere, dip and adhere. Now once you have, for the most part, your flower portion filled in, that's when you can do the same thing to the itty bitty smaller flowers, which is just as easy to do. And then you can layer the smaller one, this itty bitty flower, on the smaller flower for your bridal wreath look. Very therapeutic, very relaxing, and I love the outcome. I think it's so neat. I actually did another set of this off camera because I had so much fun. Let me give you a close-up without it getting blurry, but see how pretty that is and how dimensional? Okay, I'm going to take a yellow Copic marker, any kind of marker you have would work, and I'm going to dot the center of the flowers. And there are some flowers that I got heavy-handed, and so the dots were really big. I just took another one of the flowers and added a dot of glue and covered it, and then did a redo. You can't go wrong with these, but isn't that so pretty? I'm going to go ahead and attach my leaves now. Again, these are going to go dome shape at the base of your flower. I'm going to dip it in glue and just kind of tuck it underneath the last few flowers on our stem here. And then that is your Spirea bridal wreath flower. Love the way this is. Okay, we're going to set this aside. Now I'm going to add another dot of glue. I didn't cover my stem there, but I'm going to add one more flower. But we're going to create a tag with this. I think this will create a beautiful tag. So off camera, I took some cardstock and I ink blend with the same colors that we are using with the rest of the flowers. The dried marigold, the worn lipstick, and the ripe persimmon. Just kind of created a ink blended small panel. I had some of that leftover on the back side of my stacked decorative edges die set. I have some extra border, so I just took a small border and added it to a 1/2 inch strip of our waterfall cardstock. Now for our tag, it's going to be a rectangle and it's going to measure 5.5 inches by 2 3/4. So we're just doing a little layering. And then before we add our flowers, I stamped and heat embossed with white embossing powder our sentiment. This is so pretty. This is from Audrey Hepburn, and it says, "To plan a garden is to believe in tomorrow." I think that's so pretty. I went ahead and wrapped around some twine, and then I'm going to pop up my bridal wreath flower to give it a little dimension since our tag is basically one layer. I'm just going to remove the relace paper and place it next to the sentiment. And then after we have this adhered, there's going to be a little overhanging, but that's okay. I don't mind that. I am going to take my hole punch. This is just a regular hole punch. I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole right in the center, kind of creating our own homemade tag. And then I'm going to take some of that twine and we're going to thread it through. And then I think this would be a nice little gift just to add to, I always say this, but to a bag of cookies. I mean, who doesn't love cookies? Or even a bouquet of flowers. That would be so nice. So that is our tag. I'm going to actually trim off the stem of our Spirea here. We're careful not to cut our flowers, but that is our tag. So we have a card, a pen, and a tag so far. This is where I created one more. I just cut off the Spirea that was curled, that was pointing down. I thought we should add some Spirea to our card too, so that's what I did there. Filled that in, and then I had some extra over tiny flowers. I added a couple to the bottom right corner and then one on the left side there, just dotting them with the yellow. But I'm loving the way this turns out. Next, we are going to do our final project today, and we're going to use my my favorite. This is the Parrot Tulip dies. I thought we could create a real pretty gift box. Whenever I do get jewelry or small itty bitty boxes, I hoard them. I'm a box hoarder because I love the dainty small boxes, and you can do so much with them. So I keep my little jewelry boxes and stuff. So we're going to decorate one of those. I'm doing the same ink blending on our same garden specialty cardstock with the same colors, and we're going to die cut out our tulips, our flower center, and our leaves. You just need 2 to create your tulip here. I'm going to go ahead and run these through the, and then for the flower center, the stamen, I'm using my my timber, a specialty cardstock, or my essential cardstock there, to cut out the little comb piece. I am going to add a little color on the reverse side of these, just in case you can see the back side. We want them just to have a little color. I'm going to use my medium stylus, go around the edges, and then curl in the center of both of my Parrot tulip leaves, and then we're going to give these a real heavy cup on there. We're going to do the same thing to our second one, and then we're going to also curl up our leaves. For these, the leaves, I did the inside, so again, these are going to be kind of dome shape. Now this is the flower center. I'm going to go ahead and use my small stylus and cup that. You just press in the center and do a little circle motion and it cups it. And then we're going to grab our stamen, our little comb piece. We're going to grab the little handle with our reverse twizzers. We're first going to cut each one of those in half. You don't have to do this. I did it with or without doing this, guys, and I think with it makes a big difference, makes the flower look more realistic with those smaller stamens, but I'm just cutting those pieces in half. We're going to pick up the comb end here. I'm going to grab my glue and add a thin bead of glue at the very bottom. And again, all you have to do after you add the glue is twirl to create your little stamen. Making sure you're grabbing the handle of the comb there. Kind of hold it for a few seconds so the glue can grab onto that cardstock, and then that's ready to go. So the tulips are pretty easy to do. I actually created 2 more off camera. To assemble, you just add dots of glue in the middle. You're going to offset it and add your second layer. Now since I'm going to add a center, my flower is going to open up more, but you do want to make sure that it's kind of closed into that tulip shape here. I'm going to add a dot of glue and put our flower center. We'll just pick that up with our tweezers, and then we'll add a dot of glue in there. You can see how it's kind of wanting to open. They're easy to form back. I'm going to go ahead and add my timber stamen, which stands up beautifully. You can see that it looks just like the center of a flower. It blows me away. Okay, we're going to let that dry, and in the meantime we're going to create a belly band for our card. I have a 1-inch strip of white cardstock, and I'm going to bring in a border from that same stacked decorative edges die set. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the end of my cardstock and then we're going to die cut it out. I'm going to actually do that twice and then adhere them together around my box and secure a circle, a white circle in the center. On this particular box, I had some, it was a jewelry box, so I took off the jewelry store label, and then it left a sticky residue. So to fix that, we're going to add some more cardstock. We're going to start off by adding our beautiful teal topaz, and then I created a slightly smaller square with our waterfall. We'll adhere this right in the center, layering them both together. After they're centered, I'm going to go ahead and add our belly band, slide it through. And I love the way you need to add. I wanted to add the circle to the belly band because this way I have a platform to add my tulips, which I did. I add all 3. I created 2 more. Now we're going to add the leaves, just tucking them under there, making sure the glues adhere to that circle. But that is our beautiful little gift box. And I think these flowers are so easy to create and so stunning. And so I hope you enjoyed my projects, guys. This is, again, the Susan's Spring Flora collection over at Spellbinders. I'm actually up on the Spellbinders blog if you want to head on over there and check it out. There's some fabulous still shots of these lovely flowers. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. This is my beautiful card here. Sometimes after you create something, I don't know about you guys, but I get super excited because I think, wow, I did that. So Susan makes it super easy. But thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a fabulous day, guys. There's my little flower. Again, with that flower, I truly suggest using a hot glue gun to secure the flower. And if you wanted to create a bouquet, I think that'd be real pretty on your craft desk. Thanks so much for stopping by. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We will see you again next time. Bye-bye now.